Going into Oscars night on February 29, 2004, there were almost no categories that looked to offer any surprises. Unlike previous years, when many of the acting categories were nail-biters down to the end, when even Best Picture looked like it could go to 2 or even 3 movies, at the 76th Academy Awards, pretty much every major category was locked up, and had been for weeks. No film was going to beat The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King in picture and director, with its 11 Oscar nominations and the almost universal adoration for the final installment. Tim Robbins always had Best Supporting Actor in the bag after winning the Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, and SAG Award for his affecting performance in Clint Eastwood's Mystic River. Similarly, in Supporting Actress, Renee Zellweger was the clear favorite to finally win an Oscar for Cold Mountain, after her Oscar losses the previous years for Bridget Jones's Diary and Chicago. And there was no suspense in actress either, Charlize Theron almost completely sweeping that award season for her spectacular, transformative performance in Monster, directed by Patty Jenkins. Sure, you could have said in the days leading up to the ceremony that maybe Sheree Agdashlu was going to surprise in Supporting Actress for her remarkable turn in House of Sand and Fog. You could have argued that Diane Keaton was a sentimental favorite and had a shot at a second actress Oscar win for Something's Gotta Give, but sometimes you can just feel it in the air when someone is so far out in front that it's impossible for anyone to stop them, and that was the case with almost every winner that night, including Sofia Coppola in the original screenplay category and Finding Nemo for animated feature. Alas, at the 76 Oscars, which was hosted by the great Billy Crystal, there was only one major unpredictable category that looked like it was always going to go in a certain direction, but had enough glorious turmoil throughout the award season to always make the final result a little bit unsure. I'm talking, of course, about Best Actor, in which, like so many of the ceremonies that came before, there appeared to be room for a genuine surprise. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Best Actor race at the 2004 Academy Awards and the reasons why Sean Penn ultimately defeated Bill Murray. First, let's discuss the nominees. I would argue the one person nominated for Best Actor that year who had zero shot in winning was Jude Law, for his performance in Cold Mountain, directed by Anthony Minghella.
I can clear a field.
Was there something in particular you wished to say to me?
Not that comes to me.
Cold Mountain was one of those end-of-the-year dramatic historical epics that many assumed was going to be a major Oscar player, but after its impressive showing at the Golden Globe Awards, appearing in picture and director and actress for Nicole Kidman, the steam quickly ran out as the weeks passed, the film not showing up in the SAG Ensemble category despite its impressive cast. At the Oscars, the only two top categories the film made it into were actor and supporting actress, not picture, director, actress. It didn't even make it into adapted screenplay. There was admiration, but not much love for the movie, and it's not like there was the feeling that Jude Law was necessarily overdue for an Academy Award, only 31 years old at the time, with only one Oscar nomination behind him for the talented Mr. Ripley. He gives a great performance in Cold Mountain, but it wasn't anything Academy voters were necessarily going to get excited about. There was likely the thinking they could reward Law for something else down the road, which, as of 2022, has come to nothing. The actor hasn't been recognized at the Oscars for a performance since 2004. An actor who had slightly more of a shot to win Best Actor, but really not that much, was Ben Kingsley for his performance in House of Sand and Fog.
Perhaps you did not come here to live like a gypsy, but I did not come here to work like an Arab.
This tension-filled drama was always looked at that award season as more of an actor's film, with Kingsley showing up time and time again, but the movie itself rarely receiving nominations for Best Picture. His nemesis co-star Jennifer Connelly, who had won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar 2 years prior for A Beautiful Mind, was always and unfairly left off the list at the major award shows outside of Critics' Choice, but Sheree Agdashlu, who played his wife in the film, won at the Independent Spirit Awards and was the only person who gave Renee Zellweger a little bit of heat as a potential spoiler in the weeks leading up to the Oscars. Kingsley had enjoyed a return to the Academy Awards 2 years prior for his glorious supporting turn in Sexy Beast, and his terrific performance in House of Sand and Fog gave him the best chance at an actual win, since he went home with the gold trophy in 1983 for his incredible work in Richard Attenborough's Gandhi. But there exactly was the reason to not reward Kingsley in 2004. He already had an Oscar, while everyone else in the category had yet to manage a win. In fact, 2 of the nominees, who I'm going to talk about next, were on their very first Oscar nominations. One would have made a surprising win, and the other would have made a truly shocking win. Let's start with the one that would have been shocking. Johnny Depp for his performance as Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Son, I'm Captain Jack Sparrow. Savvy?
If you had told me going into 2003 that Depp would eventually earn his first Academy Award nomination for playing a pirate in a big-budget Disney summer adventure film, I'm not sure I would have believed you, but what he does in that movie is so funny, so wildly original, that his work just couldn't be ignored. And when the film became a smash blockbuster hit, suddenly Depp's name entered the awards conversation. I thought the Golden Globe nomination in the musical or comedy category was guaranteed, and that maybe he could get in at SAG, but at the Oscars, for a Disney movie, for a swashbuckling piece of pure entertainment, when Academy voters had looked him over after a decade plus of great film work, like Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, and What's Eating Gilbert Grape? And yet with all the odds against him, somehow Depp made it into Oscar's final 5, a testament to just how great he was in Pirates of the Caribbean. And then, an amazing thing happened in the weeks leading up to the Academy Awards. Johnny Depp won the Screen Actors Guild Award over Sean Penn and Bill Murray for outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role. We've come to recognize a win at SAG as one of the most important precursors to a win at the Academy Awards, and thus Depp became a small outside possibility for an Oscar victory. It wasn't that unimaginable. Julie Andrews won her Oscar for a Disney film, Mary Poppins, back in 1965, but Mary Poppins had also been nominated for picture, director, screenplay. Pirates of the Caribbean only received a few technical nominations outside of Best Actor, and so going into the night, it appeared like Best Actor came down mainly to 2 men. The first was Bill Murray for his refreshing and lovely performance as Bob Harris in Sofia Coppola's truly magical drama Lost in Translation, one of my favorite films of all time, about a movie star and a college graduate in Tokyo who form an unlikely bond.
The more you know who you are and what you want, the less you let things upset you.
No, it's not a transformative performance the way Charlize Theron transformed herself in Monster. No, there's not a big crying scene or emotional high-stakes monologue, but Bill Murray is a wonder to behold in Coppola's film. The humor there in many scenes, but his humanity also on full display at all times. He develops a wonderful chemistry with Scarlett Johansson that sets just the right tone throughout, and that incredible final scene they share together is one I've never forgotten. Murray had been doing great work in film for decades, like Ghostbusters, What About Bob, and especially Groundhog Day and Rushmore. He had come somewhat close to an Oscar nomination at least a couple times before, but this was the case where a gifted young director really wanted Murray to be the lead in her film, and he thankfully at some point in the process accepted, and he gave the performance of his career. The movie took critics and audiences by storm from day one, everyone gushing about Lost in Translation ever since its premiere at the Venice Film Festival. Most reviews made note of just how pitch perfect he is in the film, and then there were all the top 10 lists, and then there was the Golden Globe nomination. Here are the 3 things I would argue that really put Bill Murray in contention to win the Oscar for Best Actor. First was his speech at the Golden Globe Awards after taking the trophy in the comedy or musical category, which was funny, down to earth, self-deprecating. It's one of my favorite Golden Globe speeches ever.
And I would thank the people at Universal and Focus, except there's so many people trying to take credit for this, I wouldn't know where to begin.
Sean Penn, who won Best Actor at the Globes in the drama category, wasn't there to give a speech. And yes, as silly as it may seem, that airtime at the precursor award ceremonies can often make a difference. The second thing that put Bill Murray in contention was Lost in Translation's overperformance at the Oscars, not only appearing in picture, but also in director for Sofia Coppola, making her only the 3rd woman ever nominated in that category, and the first American woman.
Now you're here in your Oscar finery, while your dad's stomping grapes at the winery.
With the movie the favorite to win an original screenplay, a lot of voters were clearly watching it and loving it, which put Murray, one of those beloved actors who was finally being taken seriously, in a very good position. The third thing that happened? I'm not sure everyone remembers this, but not only did Murray win the Golden Globe, but he also won the BAFTA award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role. He wasn't present at the ceremony, and Sofia Coppola accepted on his behalf.
I'm honored to be accepting for Bill Murray, who just finished a 6-month shoot in Italy, so had to return home to his family, but he sent me a fax in case he won.
BAFTA was notably the only major award show that season that didn't give Charlize Theron the Best Actress trophy. Weirdly, she wasn't even nominated, and the award went to Scarlett Johansson for Lost in Translation, a performance that went overlooked at the Oscars. So yeah, I think Bill Murray came fairly close to winning the Academy Award. The fact that BAFTA picked him over Sean Penn, and SAG went to Johnny Depp, showed that Penn absolutely had some vulnerabilities that award season. But alas, Bill Murray didn't take the gold trophy, even though he felt pretty good about his chances.
Nominated for an Oscar. I thought you were going to win it.
I really did think I won all the prizes on the
Yes,
way
I
to
know.
it. I
mean, you were the guy.
I had some funny things I was going to say. I was ready to go.
No, the big winner on Oscar night for Best Actor was, of course, Sean Penn, for his performance as Jimmy Markham in Clint Eastwood's masterful crime drama Mystic River, about an ex-con whose daughter winds up murdered and he becomes the #1 suspect.
Look at my eye! Is she in there? Get off my son! Is that my daughter in there? Is that my daughter in there?
It had been a while since Eastwood's last great movie, The Bridges of Madison County in 1995 and Unforgiven in 1992, and Mystic River was a glorious return to form, his gift for casting and pacing and absorbing storytelling always on full display. Penn gives one of his most riveting performances ever, among an outstanding cast that includes Tim Robbins, Marcia Gay Harden, Laura Linney, Lawrence Fishburne, and Kevin Bacon, to name a few. And like Lost in Translation, the film became a critical darling and awards favorite right after its film festival debut, this one being the Cannes Film Festival the previous May. The movie was a hit at the box office, and at year's end there was no telling just how far it would go at the award ceremonies. Now this was the year of The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. No movie was going to beat it, but Mystic River was likely in second place in the picture category almost everywhere. Sean Penn won Best Actor in a Drama at the Globes, and then he won Best Actor at Critics' Choice, which put him on the path to finally win his first Oscar a few weeks later. But there were a few bumps along the way, and never did Penn have the Academy Award in the bag by any means. So why did Penn ultimately win? Here are the top 3 reasons. The first and most important reason is that this marked Penn's 4th Best Actor Oscar nomination in less than a decade, after receiving nominations for 1995's Dead Man Walking, 1999's Sweet and Low Down, and 2001's I Am Sam. Almost always, again almost always, when a race between 2 or 3 actors is close, you want to look to the person who's been nominated before and see if there's that overdue factor. If Penn only had 1 nomination behind him, then this wouldn't have played as much of a factor, but his being nominated 3 times in the previous 8 years definitely gave him a slight edge to win. And it seemed like this was the one he wanted to win, since, if you look back at the Best Actor races he was a part of on YouTube, Sean Penn wasn't present at any of those ceremonies. He's not in the audience of the 96 Oscars, or the 2000 Oscars, or the 2002 Oscars, but he was there this time. It's almost as if he had an inkling his name would finally be called.
I think that actors are expert in the fact that there's no such thing as best. And so and we also are aware that it's, there's a fashion show outside and all of those things, but really it became down to social discomfort. Too many people you know a little bit in one room, but that's what this is for.
The second reason is that Mystic River was just as beloved as Lost in Translation that award season, if not more so. And unlike Lost in Translation, which only managed the 1 acting nod for Murray, Scarlett Johansson somehow not making it in, Mystic River got 3: Marcia Gay Harden for Best Supporting Actress, and Tim Robbins sweeping the Best Supporting Actor category for the entire award season. This was clearly a film beloved by actors, the biggest branch in the Academy, and with nearly everyone voting for Robbins, many of those people were also likely marking their ballots for Penn as well.
What I have always found, and this was definitely true of that, Mystic River, is that when the character you're playing has a kind of confidence and comfort with themselves, that you kind of inhabit that feeling. You're able to take that part of yourself and feel that way. When you have somebody that's extremely insecure with themselves, you kind of inhabit that feeling. And that generally is the measure of whether you had a good time or a bad time on a movie.
The third reason is that Sean Penn was probably looked at by Academy voters as a more respectable dramatic actor than Bill Murray, who could have come off to some as a comedy actor playing a version of himself in Lost in Translation. Just a few years prior, Murray was sharing the screen with an elephant in the subpar comedy Larger Than Life, whereas Penn was transforming himself in one drama after another throughout the 1990s, and getting accolades even for the performances that didn't net him major award nominations like Carlito's Way and Hurly Burly. There was no denying his tremendous talent, and his work in Mystic River was unmistakably great. Eastwood bringing out the best in his lead performer, his scenes of big emotion, and quiet heartache, the kind that Academy voters adore. And so in retrospect, it's not that surprising that the name Nicole Kidman called as the winner for Best Actor was Sean Penn. The huge standing ovation he received while holding his trophy up on the stage showed the enthusiasm not just for his performance in Mystic River, but also for the consistently excellent work he'd been doing on film since the 1980s. As much as I and many others were rooting for Bill Murray that night, who didn't look too happy upon hearing he lost, it makes sense that this Oscar went to Sean Penn, the same way it made sense 5 years later when Penn won his second Oscar for Milk over Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, but more on that Best Actor race in the months to come. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below who you think should have won Best Actor at the 76 Academy Awards. Was Sean Penn the right choice, or do you think Bill Murray should have taken it? See you next time.